with no equipment. Wrestling is the best thing that we could be doing grappling, right? Which is why wrestling is how wrestling's done, right? It's because it's the best way to get the other person down. Judo is very effective because there are grips, right? You can grab things and the person cannot readily escape. So you're able to throw with much more force, all right? Interestingly, in kick, there are also a whole lot of different grip points and ways to hold someone where you can lock someone's arm in, you can lock something they have in, and they cannot escape. So, Judo, once we start getting in kick, a lot of the throws and techniques become very strong, all right? If we understand how to use them, all right, and how, to utilize those grips. So, today, I'm going to go over 4 moves. One of them is going to be fairly briefly, all right? The 3 moves I'll be going over are kind of what I feel like the holy trinity of Judo moves are for this sport. There are plenty other that work. There are 3 that work all the time, right? Like I throw these 3 more than I throw every other move combined, all right? So we're gonna go over. Today we're gonna go over it out of kick. We're gonna look at a lot of the mechanics about what I want to be doing with my opponent and how to make this throw successful, all right? We'll go over a lot of the reasons that a lot of other people throw these same throws and are not successful, right? And there's reasons behind that, and I will try to cover it, so if nothing else, going forward in your practice, you can be focusing on doing the right thing as you attain the skills to get these takedowns. All right? You have any other thoughts, words?
My mindset when we're looking at grappling in terms of the sport, your wrestling tends to be more of your defensive pieces, and the Judo tends to be more of your offensive pieces. And you know, if you guys if you ever look at Brett's stats, probably the best Judo guy in the sport right now, he does really well because his offense, because he's trained and practiced the offensive side of this, and it shows. It just becomes a natural thing.
Another real big benefit of Judo, I think, over wrestling, and it was one thing, I now have some wrestling moves that I can get to work and get takedowns off. But one of the things that is a huge benefit over Judo, over wrestling, and it took me so hard to figure out how to wrestle. So the beauty of Judo is it all happens like that. So if I have a moment and I think I can go, I go and I know if it worked or not almost immediately, all right? Either boom, they're down and I keep moving, or boom, they jammed, all right, and I step right back, all right? I really like that from an efficiency standpoint. There are a lot of really effective wrestling takedowns, but the difference in wrestling takedowns is a lot of times I'm gonna break this down, now I'm gonna hook, now I'm gonna start grinding, now I'm gonna hook under here, now I'm gonna start twisting, and there's this long grind that the guy's miserable the whole time, but I'm stuck there doing stuff for a while, right? Which is fine. It's absolutely fine, but the big benefit of Judo is it happens now, right? Boom, where he's either on the ground or I'm ready to move on to something else. Okay, so I talk about kind of the holy trinity for Buhart. It's probably worth noting that these are my best throws outside of Buhart, so it could just be that I'm biased, right? But I think that when you look at the sport across the world, you see these more than any other there too. So we're gonna go over it. So the 3 moves we're gonna go over are Osodogari, Sasai, people want to look it up, it's Sasai, Surikomi Ashi. Sasai is what I will call it and what most people will always call it. And then Hayatoshi, all right? And you don't have to remember those names. Eventually it would be nice if you remember those names. A lot of people hate learning the Japanese, but I'll tell you it's way easier to look up a Judo move than it is a wrestling move, because this person calls it the cement mixer, this person calls it the Cincinnati Slam, this person calls it the butt. You start looking up the cement mixer and there's 4 different ones and none of them are at all the same. So when I first started learning Judo, I was like, I'm just gonna teach this in English. And then as I kept looking into other grappling sports, I'm like, I'm definitely staying with the Japanese. So, there's that little thing. So, Osodogari. Always kind of the first throw that people are taught, generally in this sport, generally in Judo as well. One of the reasons is just extremely effective if you know what you're doing, right? The basics are the basics for a reason, right? They don't teach you the basic and they're like, here's a move that'll never work, but it's easy. And then here's the hard move that will work. Now they generally are like, here are the easy moves that work right here, right? So, a Sodo. I'm going to teach it in two different ways. I'm going to teach the traditional Sodo, which is very good in our sport in very situational, like specific times, all right? Interestingly enough, the traditional Sodo is also only very good in Judo in specific times. It is almost never hit in competition the way it is traditionally shown unless things just end up in the right place, right? So like maybe we're struggling back and forth, we hit a combo, this dude stumbles, we stand back up and holy shit, here it is, right? That's where I'm gonna hit my traditional Sodo. If I'm trying to force it, I'm gonna do something different, right? So the thing I'm gonna do instead is called a crossbody Sodo, and I'm a Sodogari, and I'm gonna do it with a backstep. So, that's a lot of words. Traditional Sodogari, all right? So, let's move this way, I think it's more important. So, the way this is always first taught is I need some sort of control over here. Traditionally, I'm going to use head control. When we go to cross body, underhook is very good, and I'll talk about that. But if I am not going cross body, which will be later, head control, all right? I need head control. Past that, I need something on this arm. I do not need to grab it. If I had like a hook, this is more than enough, right? If we're just sitting like this is great. If he's sitting here, I can just do this. This is fine. For today, since we're out of kit.
Try not to break his arm this time.
No, that was Ichimata. That was Ichimata. I'll warn him.
I'll run. I will run.
For today, I'm going to grab this hand. Tomorrow, when we start getting into soft kit, we'll talk about the difference in the grips that come from there, okay? So, first thing, big step. I'm going to step to the outside, leaving space to let my hips come through. This is one of the first things that people mess up. They'll step like this, not to it, and then try to come through like this. It automatically has my hips reaching, all right? So first step, outside and deep. I want to be at least level with his foot. All right? Second, as I do that, I'm going to pull out. I want to load his weight on this leg. All right? So I go, bah, that little jerk right there. Part of what I'm doing there is pulling. Part of what I'm doing there is forcing his head with my arm here. All right? When I do this in kit, I will sometimes just take my hand and place it straight on the person's face. All right? The more I force the head over with this style of Sodogari, the more effective it is, the harder it is for him to resist, all right? But since we're being nice to our partner, we're not gonna put our fist directly in their face. We're just gonna have hand here, and I want you to think kind of forearm pushes across. So here, forearm pushes across like I do this, all right? So I step, forearm comes out. Now I'm gonna pull this foot through, and I want my hips basically to be hip to hip. I am not going to sweep through today, all right? We might touch, bah, bah. I'm not going to try to hit him, all right? Keys, now, things that we can mess up on, mainly because I just did it at the end right there when I was talking to y'all. I do not want to pull him into me.